Hello, you guys. Um, I hope everyone is doing well. So, today we're going to be continuing the role of marketing, and we're going to start by talking about market orientation. So, what exactly is market orientation? Now, market orientation, as you can see on the screen, is an outward looking approach basing product decisions on consumer demand as established by market research. What do we mean by that? Before we elaborate on market orientation, I'd like to point out that we have another concept as well that's called product orientation, which is an inward looking approach that focuses on making products that can be made or have been made for a long time and then trying to sell them. What do we mean by these two approaches? Now, market orientation is basically where the businesses focuses on the market. Okay, they respond to customer needs and wants. What do we mean by that? Now, let's say we have a just to make it a clear here. So again, market orientation are the businesses that focuses on the market, but the product orientation business focuses on the product. Now we have two businesses here. One is market orientation, one is product orientation. One business is checking out uh, if there is a need in the market, if there is a want in the market. Let's say, remember a few years ago when we talked in class that there was a lot of demand on cupcakes, and then there was a lot of shops that supplied that demand. Okay, so in that case, this is what we called market orientation. So basically, there was a demand in the market, and some businesses supplied that demand. Okay, there was a demand for cupcakes, and that business basically provided cupcakes. Okay, this is what market orientation is based on. They respond to what the customer need. They respond to, they make their products to meet the demand of customers. But when in the case of product orientation, basically businesses are focusing on the product. So here, let's say a coffee shop decides to create a pistachio coffee. Basically, there is no demand for that pistachio coffee, but they decided that they have the belief that they'll find customers to purchase that pistachio coffee. So they created the product based not based on any demand, not based on any consumer, but based on their business, based on what they're good at doing. That is the difference between market orientation and product orientation. Again, so market orientation when they're focusing on the market, okay, and product orientation when they're focusing on the product. Okay. Now, we have different benefits of market orientation. First of all, the chances of newly developed products failing is much reduced. When you have a product that you know it's already demanded by the market, it's already demanded by people, you'll guarantee that people will already buy it. But let's say when you create that pistachio coffee, when there is no demand already, are you sure that customers are going to, buy that coffee? You're not very sure. Not like a normal latte. People already know it, they're already gonna buy, they already like it. Okay. Also, if consumer needs are being met with appropriate products, then they are likely to survive longer and make higher profit than those that are being sold following a product led approach. I think it's explaining itself. I don't need to go forward. Constant feedback from consumers. You're already getting the feedback from consumers. If they want a latte, you're just going to provide a latte. If they want espresso, we're going to provide espresso, and so on. So, constant feedback from consumers. Now, moving on to product orientation. Now, product orientation might be basically it is still exists, and a lot of businesses are actually applying it. And why is that? Because basically product oriented businesses, they invent and develop products because they believe that the customers is going to purchase it. Just like the example of pistachio coffee. So the producers of pistachio coffee believe that yes, if we create such a product, consumers are going to buy it. Okay, they also concentrate the product oriented businesses concentrate on creating quality goods, on quality product. Quality is very important because basically they want to attract the customer to their product and create the sense of loyalty. Okay, now let's evaluate these two approaches. Okay, basically both approaches are we're not gonna prefer one approach on the other. As I always taught you in business, everything is suitable for a, you know, uh, every aspect suits different companies. Maybe one company or one business is better off with product orientation, another business is better off with market orientation. But eventually, if we look here, market orientation might have some limitations. Okay, so basically, let's say a coffee shop cannot respond to every passing consumer trend. Okay, now I'm sure we've seen all through the years that many businesses were going by the consumer's trend. Remember the Dame chocolate trend? Everyone was buying it, and then it was just stocked away. No one was buying it. The cupcakes, the coffee, and much more. So trends goes and comes and goes. It's important for me as a business to adapt to that trend, okay? But at the same time, I cannot respond to every single trend that passes by. Okay, it might be very expensive and it might overstretch our resources as a business. Okay, um uh, also at the other side of product, this is, I'm talking about market orientation here, but when we look at product orientation, at the same time product orientation might not be uh, good all the time, because the whole concept product orientation requires innovation, requires development all the time, requires research, and all of that is basically can be expensive. Okay, so that approach cannot be used every time. Okay, now moving on to the concept of social marketing or social marketing. Now, social marketing is not about social media. Okay, it's about society here. And I don't think if you I'm sure you guys remember when we talked about corporate social responsibility. Now, when we made posters about campaigns, corporate social responsibility campaigns, and we hung them on the walls of the class. This is something related to that, and we have an example here that will help me elaborate on this concept. It's about the Body Shop. The Body Shop basically are promising or promises their customers not to support animal testing. So you'd notice that most of the products in Body Shop does not support animal testing, and it's not tested on animals. They also purchase their supplies from sustainable sources, okay, in a non-environmental damaging way. That way, sorry, so that way they're actually providing the customers with very good products, but at the same time they're products that are they are products that are good, they're helpful, they actually environment friendly, which means it's actually affects the member of society in a good way, not in a bad way. Okay, so they're basically meeting the society's long-term interest. This is what we mean by social marketing, and I'm gonna be uploading some videos to show you some ads of social marketing for some companies. I'd love if you can watch them and see some of the samples about some companies who are using social marketing as an approach. Okay, so again, social marketing is an approach that considers not only the demands of consumers but the effects on all members of the society involved in some way when they're meeting their demands. So they don't just care about profit, they do care about profit, but don't care about profit only, but they care about the welfare of the society, the long-term welfare of the society. Okay? Now, social marketing might have some implications, okay? First of all, it's an attempt to balance three concerns: company profit, consumer wants, and society's interest. And we already talked about in Unit 2 how it can be a bit challenging. Let's not say difficult, but let's say challenging to basically balance all of these three. Having to, you want to make profit, at the same time you want to, you want to benefit the society or do something in the interest of society, and also you want to fulfill consumer wants. It's a bit of a challenging to balance all these three. So also there may be a difference between short-term consumer wants and long-term consumer and society welfare. What do we mean by that? There may be a difference between having low prices and protecting the environment. And, as I just said, it's challenging to keep a balance between these three. For example, you want to provide low prices, but at the same time, you want to protect the environment. But protecting the environment usually requires more expensive wages, requires paying workers more, requires buying more expensive supplies and raw materials, which will basically, we can't have low prices. Okay? So basically, that's the whole concept of it. Businesses should still aim to identify consumer needs and want and satisfy these more efficiently. Okay? Basically, it's just like the example of the body shop. They're trying to satisfy the consumer's tastes, okay? But at the same time, they're trying to basically enhances consumers' welfare and society's welfare. Okay. Using this concept could give a business significant competitive advantage. Okay, some companies like Lush, for example, they base all their marketing on the fact that we are environment friendly. So that actually attracts a certain type of consumers. Also, a social marketing strategy, if successful, could lead to the firm being able to charge higher prices for its product, as benefiting society. I'm sure you've seen Lush. They usually have high prices, but at the same time, they are successful. I mean, a lot of people are purchasing from their company. They specifically go and buys from them. Why? Because they offer environment friendly products or something specific that the customer desires. So that became a unique selling point for them. Okay. And they can actually charge high prices because they can prove that, oh yes, we're using environment friendly, we're trying to benefit the society, and so on. Now, let's talk about commercial marketing and social marketing. I just explained social marketing, okay? And now I'm going to talk about commercial marketing. Commercial marketing is mainly about financial return. Okay, we talked about social marketing being related to profit, consumer, society, and everything, but commercial marketing is mainly based on financial return. We just want to have profit. That's why we are marketing. Okay, the normal, regular method of marketing. So yeah, this is the difference between them. Now, market share topic, I'd like to explain it in another video to help me elaborate more on it, to help me show how some examples of calculations. Unfortunately, I can't use a PowerPoint for that. I'm gonna have to use another video using a notebook and in a pen. So I'm just gonna skip these. I'm gonna talk about market share, market leadership, and the importance of market share later on. Okay. Now, let's talk about marketing objectives here. Marketing objectives, remember we talked about company, organizational objectives. It's something similar to that, okay? Now, marketing objectives are the goals set for the marketing department to help the business achieve its overall objectives. And I'm sure you remember the organizational objectives. We talked about them a lot: how to make a goal, how to make a SMART goal, corporate objectives, departmental objectives. This type of objective is departmental objective, okay? Now, let's talk about the objectives for a for-profit organization. And we already talked about for-profit organization and non-profit organization as well. So a for-profit organization is a business with a clear short-term profit target. Will focus on maximizing sales at the highest price possible. Okay? In contrast, a business with longer-term objectives, which may include both profitability as well as the achievements of goals, social responsibility, may adopt a social marketing approach. This is exactly what I've been talking about for the past slides. Now, we have some examples of for-profit organizations' marketing objectives, which includes an increase in market share, increase in total sales, increase in average number of items purchased per customer visit, increase in frequency that a loyal customer shop, increase in percentage of customers who are returning customers, increase in number of new customers, increase in customer satisfaction, increase in brand identity. Okay? Now, to be effective, marketing objectives should, number one, fit in with the overall aim and mission of the business. And we talked about this before. We mentioned that the objectives of the company, whether it's departmental, whether it's corporate, it has to go with the mission and the vision of the business, okay? Number two, be determined by senior management. So basically, most of these objectives will be determined or will be set by senior management. We're talking about, marketing manager and above, okay? Number three, be realistic, motivating, achievable, measurable, and clearly communicated to all departments in the organization. And also in organizational objectives, we talked about the importance of communicating these objectives that you have set to the members of the organization, to all departments, and so on. Okay? I think this is you've already taken most of these things. We're just taking them from a marketing point of view. Now, why are marketing objectives so important? First of all, they provide a sense of direction for the marketing department. Progress can be monitored against these targets. If we can actually see these targets being fulfilled, or we have an objective, we can actually see if we're making progress in the company or not. They can be broken down into regional or product sales targets to allow for management by objective. Remember when we talked about different type of objectives? We have by regional, we have by product, and so on. This actually can help us, basically when it's broken down, it can help us, it can help the management. They form the basis of marketing strategy. These marketing objectives will have a crucial impact on the marketing strategies. So it'll basically affect our marketing strategy. It'll help us apply it in the best way possible. Okay? Now let's go to the non-profit making organization. Okay, and they're a bit different from profit maximizing organization. First of all, most not-profit organizations do not have external shareholders, providing risk capital for the business. We've talked about that. Shareholders are only exclusive for profit organizations. They do not distribute dividends, so any profit that is generated is retained in the business. Basically, they don't pay anyone any dividends. Remember, dividends, stocks, shareholders. Ring a bell? Anyway, so their organizational objectives usually include some social, cultural, something always related to the environment, always related to the society's welfare, and so on. Okay? Now, the main marketing activities also are similar to their objectives. Okay? Basically, for when it comes to market research, they ask themselves, how does the public view our charity and which groups are most likely to donate. They try to understand who are the people or who are the group of people that would actually donate to their company, so that they can market it in the best way possible. I just like to point out that marketing for a non-profit making organization is extremely important, because most of the money that enters that company is actually basically based on it's mostly based on the marketing of, if they're good at marketing, then they will get more donations. If they're not that good, then unfortunately they won't. Okay. Now, also, the main marketing activity depends on identifying the best way to communicate with the donors. Okay. Also, the need to assess the effectiveness of different promotions and campaigns. Okay, these are extremely important for non-profit making organizations. So, what's the difference between non-profit and profit? First of all, the importance of maintaining high ethical standards. Sometimes for-profit organizations are not that ethical. Constant feedback on the success and future issues to be addressed to maintain public interest and awareness. Finally, free publicity with the aim of capturing public's imagination. Now, uh, actually, some for-profit organizations get the help of non-profit organization, and they merge together, not merge, but they get the each other's help to basically promote for each other. Okay. Marketing objectives for a nonprofit organization include maximize revenue from trading activities. These are just examples of marketing objectives. Increase recognition of the organization by society, promote their work and the aims of the organization to a wide audience. Now let's move on to marketing strategies. Okay. Uh, so, changes in consumer preferences should be researched, anticipated, and acted upon by the marketing department. So, marketing department, as I mentioned before, or marketing is not just about, let's say, sale and advertisement. It's also about strategies. Okay. Uh, Having a marketing strategy as a business is extremely important, because based on that strategy, you're going to penetrate markets, you're going to decide what way to take, you're going to decide what product to sell, and so on, how to address your customers, how to adapt to market needs. Okay. For example, see here, there are some examples of recent changes in consumer preferences, like full efficient cars and fewer gas guzzler, healthy food, less fried food, tablet computer, fewer PCs. Those products were actually quite, you know, uh, people don't use fewer PCs anymore. Sorry, people don't use PCs anymore. They usually use tablet computers. People are eating less fried food. They're using healthy food because they're becoming more conscious. Okay. Uh, So, what I'm trying to explain here is that businesses that fail to respond to these and other changes by developing and marketing new products will usually quickly lose sales and market share. So, it's very important for every business to have a marketing strategy and to have a backup strategy as well, in case in case the product has become, or the preferences of consumers have become uh, different or are changing. Um, we do realize that we are in a very, very high technology world right now, fast paced, everything is changing very fast, which is why it's extremely important for companies to have a marketing strategy to help them adapt to those changes. Okay. So, how can innovation influence marketing practices and strategies in an organization? And I think we talked about that. We usually, mostly, and after most chapters, we talk about how innovation, ethical, and cultural differences affect marketing or affect any type of aspect in business. Okay, so I'm sure marketing has innovation has so many influences on marketing practices. Okay. uh, So we have internet, we have social media, we have um, so many things. We're not like before. We're not basically advertising through newspaper or marketing through newspaper and TV. There isn't any more traditional forms like magazines and stuff. We have social media, we have internet. Now, ethical considerations, how can they influence marketing practices? Sorry. So, but basically, even ethical considerations, let's take advertising sweets to children here. Okay. Uh, Sweets are not that good for children, and most of us knows that. Okay. The argument here is for and against taking an ethical stand. So basically, is it ethical to advertise sweets to children as a good thing, or is it not? We have these ethical dilemmas right now. So it's like so many products that are given in the market right now. Some claims that it's not ethical to sell or promote or market for such products. Other believe that it's not. Now, how cultural differences may influence marketing? Same thing here. So, failing to respond to cultural differences can lead to bad feeling and bad publicity. Okay? If you're living in a country with a certain culture, for example, you can't, let's say you are, let's say we're, in India, for example, they have many religions, many cultures. They don't eat meat. You can't go and open a restaurant or provide products, meat products, or uh, meat products to Indians, and assume that your marketing strategy will be based on that, and then you assume that you will gain customers. You have to respond to local taste, sensibilities. Okay. And which by we have ended 4.1, the role of marketing. I'll be uploading the market share videos later on. Please make sure you read the slides, you listen to them. We'll be having activities after we finish all these. Stay safe, and I will see you next time. Bye.